Dear friends, welcome to Prime.info. We are excited to present you our first news blog this spring about the most significant events on global real estate markets and the latest immigration news. This episode will be dedicated to the new visa program for digital nomads in Italy, as well as the recent updates to Greece's Golden Visa program, and will also dive into the current state and future prospects of the real estate market in France. Italy is ready to compete for the funds and talents of digital nomads. The country has been figuring out the conditions for hosting skilled individuals who can work remotely for the last 2 years. While the local parliament hasn't passed the law in its final form yet, they have discussed the details and revealed the main provisions for the new program. Since the regulations have not come into effect yet, there aren't many details, especially about the way the scheme will actually work in practice. Most likely, the information will become available in summer and maybe closer to fall. As of today, the applications aren't being accepted yet, but the revealed facts sound quite exciting. The Italian digital nomad visa is open to self-employed professionals and those employed by foreign companies that are registered outside of Italy. To be eligible for the digital nomad visa, the applicants are expected to demonstrate at least 6 months of work experience as a digital nomad or remote worker. The applicant should have health insurance covering the whole duration of stay in the country and accommodation in Italy, no matter if it is owned or leased. The most crucial requirement for the estimated income of the main applicant, which needs to be not less than 28,000 euros per year. It's interesting that the most in-demand program for digital nomads right now is offered by Spain, and the minimum income requirement for the main applicant in the program is also 28,000 euros. It seems like Italians have borrowed this requirement from the popular Spanish scheme. And it is also important to note that in Spain it is possible to apply for a digital nomad residency permit directly from the country. In this case, the applicants are able to obtain the permit for 3 years. But Italians have only mentioned granted digital nomad visas for 1 year. And the applications are accepted only by Italian consulates in the applicant's country of residence. However, given the country's popularity, it is fair to assume that digital nomads will also start migrating to the Apennines. The main aspect is to prevent the scenario similar to the one that has happened in Greece. The Greek program started earlier and was operating very smoothly at first. The residency permits were granted within a month, but now the processing time may take up to 6 months or even longer, and this is not suitable for everyone. That's why alternative immigration schemes like Golden Visa are getting more popular in Greece.
Real estate professionals, foreign investors and homeowners have lately been concerned over the precise changes being planned to the Golden Visa program. They think that the program will lose its competitiveness and most investors will turn to other countries. The Greek government intends to set 3 different minimum investment thresholds for the property purchases option depending on the location. 800,000 in selected regions of Attica, Thessaloniki, Mykonos and Santorini, as well as on islands with a population of more than 3,000 inhabitants. 400,000 in the rest of the country, and the current minimum investment limit of 250,000 will remain for only 2 cases: reconstruction of properties subject to restoration and conversion of industrial facilities into residential spaces. The question is, what will happen to the remote neighborhoods with significant tourist interest and good universities? Cities like Corfu, Heraklion, Rhodes, Patras and others are experiencing a severe housing shortage, but investors rarely obtain golden visas in these areas. The experts believe that raising the entry threshold in the most popular parts of the country should lead to an increase in sales, and as investors will seek to complete transactions before the new regulations take effect in May. Another concern for investors is the government's plans to restrict short-term rentals in the country and completely forbid them for properties bought for the purpose of obtaining residency permits. Though these are just plans for now and specific laws haven't been introduced or put into effect, this information certainly deserves attention when planning investments. We'll continue to monitor the situation and keep you updated.
Now let's turn our attention to France, where the Federation of Real Estate Agents has issued a report about the current situation in the local market. The main highlight is the drop of sales in 2023, minus 22% to around 865,000 transactions, compared to over 1 million transactions during the previous year. The reason remains the same: rising interest rates. French banks have tightened mortgage conditions last year, notably reducing the maximum loan term to 25 years from previous 30. As the number of transactions decreases, the prices begin to decline as well. Major cities have taken the biggest hit. Housing prices in Paris fell by 5.6% over the year, while in Lyon they have dropped by 6%, and in Nantes by 7%. French resorts, led by Nice, stood out as an exception. There is a modest growth of 2% in 2023. The forecast for 2024 is also not very optimistic. The market participants have expected a further decline in demand by 10% by the end of the year. However, for those looking for purchase a property in France right now, the situation isn't that bad. The sellers are ready to offer concessions. The properties in France are currently being purchased for obtaining residence permits for financially independent persons. Yes, it's not a golden visa, but it's necessary to own or rent accommodation in the country under the terms of this program.
And that wraps up today's news block. We are not saying goodbye. We'll continue to keep an eye on the main events in the real estate markets. Stay tuned for our daily updates on prime.info and make sure to follow us on Telegram. Catch you in the next issue in April.